This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
Be advised that the views and opinions of the hosts and guests do not reflect those of the station.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Philippines Uncut. I'm your host, Buddy Conana. Now, in this show, we talk about everything in the sun. And that video you just saw is an introduction to our topic tonight, which is about Star Wars and the amazing cult following it's developed all over the world and over generations. And tonight, we're going to meet some very cool people from the local Star Wars fan club called Saber Philippines. And joining me on my right is Miguel Yulo, followed by Michelle Alejandro and Mika Fabella. Guys, welcome to Philippines Uncut, and it's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for having us.
No, and I think this is probably the most colorful. You guys are probably the most colorful guests I've ever had on the show. I feel like I'm on Tatooine or something like that. So let's start with some introductions. Let's start with Miguel. Tell us a bit about yourself.
So I'm Miguel Yulo. I'm 16. I'm still a student in Ateneo. So I'm in high school, and I've been a fan for about 10 years.
Michelle?
Hi, I'm Michelle Alejandro. I work. I'm a journalist as well. I'm a writer, but I'm a big Star Wars fan. I have been since birth, and now passing it on to my children as well. So very exciting to be part of this group.
Very nice.
Hi,
Mika?
I'm Mika Fabella. I'm actually a ballet dancer. I'm a fresh graduate from UP Diliman. I'm a writer as well, and I have been a Star Wars fan since I was 6 years old.
Interesting. I mean, very diverse backgrounds and different ages, and yet all of you are kind of united in this. That it's a common link that
Yes.
binds the three of you together. I mean, this love for Star Wars. Let's talk about your club, Saber. What is Saber all about?
So Saber started in Malaysia, where a bunch of fans wanted to form a group for lightsaber choreography. Now, from there, it spread to different countries in Southeast Asia. So you have Malaysia, Singapore, Brunei, the Philippines, and I'm forgetting one.
Indonesia?
Yeah, Indonesia.
Yeah. And now you guys are part of Saber Philippines. What do you guys do? What is it's a fan club, but what is your objective? What do you guys want to what's your mission as being members of Fight Saber Philippines?
Well, like you said, we're basically all Star Wars fans, but we take that a step further by dressing up as Jedi and actually recreating lightsaber battles on stage. So we really get into the roles, as in like we're really act as if we're really on Tatooine or on Jakku or wherever we want to be. And we basically dedicate like weeks of practice just to make these lightsaber battles happen. We even like train in a manner of speaking to get these fights perfect.
Now, what got you into Star Wars? Who doesn't love Star Wars, right? We all love Star Wars, but you guys have taken it to the next level. You really are, just by the way you're dressed and all the collectibles you guys have, and you guys are really into it. What got you into this in the first place?
Well, for me, I got into it when I was younger when I saw episode 2. But over time, I got more into the books and all the comic books, so the stories that people don't really hear about. So if you ask me like what my favorite Star Wars story would be, you probably wouldn't understand where it came from.
So yeah, he's talking about it's a very expansive universe that spans movies, cartoons, comics, books. But for me, I got into it because of my parents. I was very young when the first one came out, but I was able to see 6 in the theater. And since then, I've just really loved everything about it. So I've seen all the movies, the re-releases, the prequels. So it's become kind of like a lifelong love, I would say, for me. And then we have a daughter. I have a daughter as well who's 5, and we took her to see The Force Awakens. She loved it too. She had that look on her face that I had on my face the first time I saw it. So, you can see that it spans generations. And there's just something about it that's very magical, I would even say.
I think more or less we're about the same
Yes.
generation, because I caught the first one. In the 70s. I was very little, back then, and I still remember.
Right.
The experience,
The
the feeling,
feeling.
and watching the movie. And it's just amazing to see. Like you're 16 years old, right,
Yes.
Miguel? And to see that, not just my generation, but his generation, even younger,
Yes.
the younger generation, like your daughter. It has an appeal for everyone. What is it that draws people to Star Wars? That make and I know people like even older than I am, in their 50s, right, late 50s, or early 60s, and they love Star Wars. What is it about Star Wars?
For me, I think like I could probably explain it best by like reiterating how I got into Star Wars also, because it was basically my dad who got me into Star Wars. So Empire Strikes Back was actually the very first movie that I saw in the cinemas when it was re-released in 1995, I think, 1995 around that time. And since then, all I wanted was to be a Jedi. My parents actually got me to eat my vegetables just because they said Jedi eat their vegetables. So that's how they got me to school. That's how they got me to do anything. And now here I am dressed as one. But anyway, that's because basically like my parents are actually separated. But like it was so heartwarming last year because my father and I have a rocky relationship. But when it comes down to Star Wars, we can talk all day. We can like talk all day about Star Wars. Once it comes to Star Wars, we're like back to that same feeling, no matter what happens. So it's sort of like that kind of family experience that you can actually pass down from generation to generation. And it's not just films, it's not just stories, it's the whole experience itself. Because you don't have any other franchise that recreates the experience of going to the theaters and actually living that experience. It happened in the 70s, it happened in the 90s, and now it's happening right now. So you have the first generation who saw it, and then their kids saw it, and their kids' kids, and now they see it. So it's passing that experience, the Star Wars experience overall, not just the films or not just the books or not just the comics or anything. It's the whole experience.
And you guys are part of this group, Fight Saber Philippines. Okay, so you guys are basically a group of people who just love the whole genre of Star
Yes.
Wars, and obviously you guys collect memorabilia and all that, and you have the costumes. What else do you guys do? You said you perform, but where do you perform, and in front of whom? Michelle?
Okay, sure. Well, with Fight Saber, we perform, of course, Star Wars related events. They've done movie openings and stuff like that. But the core, where we perform quite often, is Comic Cons or conventions that bring together a lot of fandoms. So Star Wars, of course, is one of the bedrock fandoms of the Comic Con group, or the Comic Con generation. But of course, Star Trek is there, Doctor Who is there. So it's really coming together and bringing all the different fandoms together, and that's kind of where we showcase what we do as well.
Yeah, and obviously cosplay, costume has a big thing to do with
Of course,
with Star
yes.
Wars. It's all about, as you said, the experience, the outfits, the cool gadgets. No, and I see you. Miguel, look at what you're wearing.
Yes.
This is amazing. Can you stand up and show us your uniform, your costume, and tell us what this is supposed to be.
So this is the armor that the Jedi used to wear in the Old Republic, so thousands of years before the movie. Since there is a large-scale conflict and they fought thousands of Sith, they had to be more armored up than you would see in the movies.
Now, where do you get this? Do you order it? Do you make it yourself? Or?
I had this made from a local builder who makes armor for different costumes, like he has Batman costumes. And someone else in Fight Saber actually told me about him, so that's where we all had ours made.
So you can have this done. I mean, this is all local. You can have like Star Wars fans out there. They want a uniform. They want a stormtrooper outfit. They can have this guy make it
Yes.
locally. Wow. How about you, Michelle? What is this?
Mine
You look like
is-
Obi-Wan.
Yeah, mine is a much more traditional Jedi outfit. It's very similar to what's in the movies. The robes are very similar. So as I said, I'm more of a traditional movie baby. So a lot of my influence comes from that. Although this is very cool.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say. I mean, this is really like hardcore.
Yes.
No. How about you?
Yeah.
Mika?
This is actually not conventional at all. I'm like dressed as a rogue Jedi. I'm actually not a fan of. I mean, like if I were to make my own costume, I'm not a fan of the whole tabard and robe getup. Because if we're going to be moving around, I want something a bit more flexible. So I decided to sort of make my own design based off of one of the Jedi in the expanded universe that I like, which is Quinlan Vos. So he has a sleeveless sort of Apache look about him. So I decided to take my own spin off that and make a feminine version in a way of speaking.
You know, the first time I encountered you guys was at a birthday party, a children's party a few weeks ago, where some of your members were there to perform. And is this something you do? Because I mean, I tell you, the response from the kids was amazing. I mean, they had like a demonstration. They had little lightsabers for little kids, and they had like they taught the kids basically how to use a lightsaber, and everyone loved it. It was like a smash hit. I mean, do you guys do? Is this part of your advocacy to spread to perform in kids parties and stuff like that?
Yes, I think like a lot of people would get us for kids parties because it does appeal to the kids. But I think also you also get some of the adults who get into it. So I think for me, as a fan, when I perform, I end up feeling like I'm in Star Wars, and I also get to spread the love of Star Wars to whoever's watching.
Yeah, that's really a part of the core mission, I would say, is really to spread the love of the fandom that we all grew up with. Because, I mean, at least in my experience, last year, I wasn't a member yet of Fight Saber Philippines. And I remember the first time I saw them was that moment again. Was like, oh my gosh, I'm 6, my eyes are huge. And I thought, my first thought to myself was, how do I be part of this? Like, how can I join this? So like it's spreading the love and the magic and just showing fans that it really never ends. Young, old, working, not working, find ways to make
You
it happen.
grad.
Yes,
You grad.
yeah. And I think it's really it's a great feeling when you're there with the kids and in their eyes you're like the real thing. You're like, oh my God, it's a real Jedi, and they actually think that your lightsabers are real and everything. You see that sparkle in their eyes, and it's the best feeling in the world.
But you guys also have an advocacy, right? I mean, this is not just all fun and games. You also do contribute in your own way, as a group, to some advocacies. What are these charities that you guys work with?
Well, we currently work with Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Okay.
So, for example, if we have birthday parties or guestings or something, we'll usually ask for a donation to that charity. Make-A-Wish in particular, I think it's important that as a Star Wars fan group, we do give back to a charity that helps kids in particular, because it's stories like this that make them want to grow up and be strong and fight basically.
Yes.
Yeah, and with Make-A-Wish Foundation, they've actually, over the history of when they've been established, have had a lot of wishes from kids that want to be part of Star Wars or that want to be visited by stormtroopers. Because, of course, we also have like our partner groups here in the Philippines, that 501st, the Philippine Garrison that does the stormtrooper
Really?
movie, legit
Okay.
stormtroopers,
Yeah.
and they have done a lot of hospital visits, visiting the children, and that is like really the core focus that we want to give back. And like Mika said, especially the kids, because I mean we were all there before, so that look in their eyes is really irreplaceable.
How about you, Miguel? You were one of the founders of Fight Saber Philippines, no?
Yes.
One of the original 5 founders, I understand.
I think we were about 6.
6. And I mean, what was this group? I mean, this core group that put it together. Were you about the same age?
No, we were not the same age. So at that point in time, I was still 15. And when I got there and I saw there are no other kids here. So I was with people who were about 30, in their 30s and 40s.
Look at that. Look at
So it was kind of weird for me, and I'm like, why are these old people into Star Wars?
Old people. Old people. Oh my God.
so
Ouch.
so for me though, I think that it was, for some reason, I found it weird that I was able to make friends with them like pretty quickly because we have that bond of Star Wars. And then after that, you just end up getting to know each other personally and not just for Star Wars.
And he finds out they're not just old people; they're actually people.
We're not old, Miguel.
Now, how does one become a member of Fight Club, Fight Saber, Fight Saber Philippines? I mean, do you have tryouts? I mean, or is there an application process, or do you just have to have one of these cool outfits and then you're in?
I think that over time, the procedure for getting in has evolved, but currently, what we have is a nomination system. So first of all, you need to have a lightsaber, a dueling grade lightsaber, so you can hit it and stuff. But you also need
I'm sorry, what kind of lightsaber?
a dueling grade.
A dueling grade lightsaber.
Yes.
What is a dueling grade lightsaber?
A dueling grade lightsaber is so that when you hit it and perform movements, it
okay.
won't shatter.
Okay, all right, all right. And I think we're going to see some of those samples later on when some
Yes.
of your other members come on. Okay, continue. What else do you
So
need?
basically, there's a nomination system. So it's kind of like tryouts where you get there and you have to get existing members to vouch for you, not just for your skill set, but also your personality, if you can fit in with the group and everything.
Wow.
But other than Fight Saber, we're also all members of Philippine Lightsaber Guild, which is the bigger group that everyone is welcome to join. So we usually try to meet monthly, or if not, we'll have special activities.
You're talking
But
about the lightsaber guild.
yes,
Okay.
that's kind of the bigger group that Fight Saber was born out of as a choreography pillar of the entire group. That everyone's welcome to join. You bring your lightsaber, you can come over. We'll teach you the basics, and then kind of from there you can actually build your skill set up to a point where if you are interested maybe in making the shift, then you'd have at least a bit of a foundation as well.
Yeah. How big is Fight Saber Philippines? How many members do you have?
Currently, we have about
We have about 50 members currently in Fight
Okay.
Saber.
yeah.
What makes you different from the other groups? I mean, I think, do other groups also do the same things that you guys are doing? With the
I don't-
lightsabers and things like that?
Do you mean the lightsaber guild itself, or
No, I
do you
mean, like,
mean other Star Wars?
Other Star Wars groups. What
Well-
makes you different?
I think for one thing, it's the performance. It's the
Okay.
performance aspect. I don't think other groups actually mount performances. I mean, we'll actually create a storyline. We'll have dialogue. We'll have acting in it.
Oh, really? I mean, so it's really,
Yes.
it's not
It's
just
a
about
performance. It's
it's like a show. It's like
Yes.
really like a
There's-
play.
Yeah, acting is a very big part of it. Lights, sounds,
Yes.
all of it comes together. Choreography.
So, like for example, if we have a performance,
Sound system, all that.
yes, not all of the members, for example, will have to perform. Like in our previous performance, I was there doing technical stuff. And you'll have somebody who'll be there to work on the sounds, because of course the sounds are very particular when you have the lightsaber battles. You'll have rehearsal masters. You'll have people who will create the choreography, or you'll have people who will direct it as well, other than the talent pool.
So
who
it's
are
like a
performing
theater
on
group.
stage.
I mean,
Yes,
you guys are kind of like a theater
yeah.
group.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Wow. How big is your biggest performance? Like when you say performance, like is it like a few minutes? Is it 30 minutes? I mean,
I think 18 was probably the longest.
I think the last one we had was about 18 minutes, and we had roughly 20 people, I think, performing.
Yeah. We had another one that was 22.
Yeah, next
Yes,
con.
next
Yeah,
one.
and our performance at next one was 22, and had one of our youngest Jedi.
when is your next
Advocacy.
big gig? So at least if there's some people who are interested to watch you guys in action, of course we'll show some clips later on. But when is your next live performance?
I'm not sure when the next one is, but I think the next one that we're all preparing for will be at Asia Pop Comic Con.
Okay, and when is that?
That's in, I think, August.
August 26, 27, and 28.
Okay, cool. Very interesting, guys. And I mean, I'm sure our viewers are been really, their eyes have been open to the possibilities of the Star Wars fan clubs here, especially in the Philippines. And in a while, we have pause for break, but in a while we're going to meet Raymond Suba and JB Casacop, and they're going to show us show more of homemade lightsabers and things like that. So more fun here on Philippines Uncut with you guys from Fight Saber Philippines. Guys, stick around because more of The Force Awakens when Philippines Uncut returns.